Jeremy Magan here as usual, host of the Breaking the Line podcast Casser les Lignes and the self-proclaimed Ligue 1 expert. Obviously, I love everything French football, and we're here to talk about French football, well, towards throughout Sorare, I guess, and so we can look a little bit at the results of the French team through Sorare and what that did for them on the weekend and some takes, injuries, etc., and what we can look forward to for the upcoming weeks. It's Monday lunchtime ish here in Australia, so I had a few hours to digest that loss from Marseille at home to Nice. But yeah, let's jump straight into it and look at what happened on the weekend in France. I guess the first thing is quick look at the results that I had so far in Sorare for the weekend. Obviously, the team that's performed is the team where all my best players are in limited. The Challenger Europe, Berghuis with 2 goals and an assist was 109, and Grimaldo, who had 89 and was my captain with an assist when he played against Casapia. Benfica, but besides that, there's only another potential. I think, yeah, there it is. Another potential tier 3 for the Cap 22, Cap 220 Limited, where the team performed okay, I guess, 282 for a Cap 220. So it's 60 more than what the cap is. As you can see, I didn't do very well in the French League. I'm going to try and go and find it. Where's the French League Amateur? I did terrible in the French League Amateur, didn't I? Yeah, I think I was pretty poor. We got the French League 220 here, and I'm going to find out French League Amateur. Maybe it's just not there. My first week in EPL, well, Emiliano Martinez conceded 4, so that wouldn't work out. But the rest, Mitoma ended up with a goal, which helped, and Haaland lost against Tottenham this morning, and he was my captain, so didn't go well. You'd see the age of my team: Saliba 21, Saka 20, Alan 21, and Mitoma 25. I like my young players as much as I can. Yeah, I can't see the French ones. Anyway, that doesn't matter too much. Long story short, I didn't perform well. Missa Ben Yedder didn't play a minute for Monaco in their win 2-0. I had an assist from Sanchez, and I was right to bet on Sales and Jiku, who did okay, kept a clean sheet finally with Strasbourg. I think it's their second or third clean sheet of the year only, but nowhere near a reward. Anyway, let's look at Ligue 1. Let's look at what happened. A quick look at the table after game week 22. Paris Saint-Germain is starting to fly above anybody else. There was a bit of a risk. They were only 2 points ahead a week ago, and then the results went their way this week. Marseille had a draw and loss over the weekend. No, this table is wrong. Marseille have 14 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses. It looks like they took into account that Nice-Marseille was a draw this morning, but Nice definitely won. So Marseille only has 46 points, as many as Lens, and Nice has 34 points, and Nice overtook Lyon at the table. But anyway, long story short, there is 8 points between Paris Saint-Germain and Marseille and Lens, and then behind them there's Monaco at 44 and Rennes at 40. Lille is trying to come back on Rennes after their win over the weekend, but Monaco is probably the one that did the best result of the weekend, winning, while Lens drew and Marseille lost. Let's look at quickly at those 10 games and see what we can take away from it. We'll start with the reigning champion and top of the table, Paris Saint-Germain. 2-1 win against Toulouse. Toulouse was scored first by Branco van den Boomen. Van den Boomen, who scored a free kick that Donnarumma, I think, should have been able to save, but we're going to go back on him a little bit. And Toulouse performance, beside Van den Boomen, Spirins had an okay result, but obviously when you lose 2-1, it's hard to get something good. And against Paris Saint-Germain, who has most of the possession, 61% possession, it's not easy to get a good result. That said, to show you how strong Toulouse is, there's an 85% pass accuracy against Paris. Not a lot of teams are going to have more than 500 passes, and 85% of them are going to be accurate against Paris at the Parc des Princes, which bring me to the capital. I don't know about Paris right now. Since they're back from the World Cup, they're struggling to find something that works. Galtier said that when you have a player like Lionel Messi, you have to play for him. So it looks like right now, if you have Messi in your team, play him. Of course, I'm sure everybody has followed the news, but there's no Mbappe on the lineup because Mbappe got injured midweek and he's going to be out until the Paris press conference said that it was until the round of 16 against Bayern Munich. Is it true? Is it just a bit of misinformation to try and win that psychological battle against Bayern? I'm not sure, but what is sure is that he didn't play this weekend and he's not playing this week. And next game would be, if he can play, against Bayern Munich on the 14th of February on Valentine's Day. For Paris on the weekend, the performance to note, of course, Lionel Messi with a goal, but also Achraf Hakimi with a goal and an assist, scores 100. Shout out to simply Alex, who I know has Hakimi in his squad, and he'll be happy. A quick word on Donnarumma, 43.2, and could have definitely done better as far as the free kick came. Maybe it's a controversial take, and maybe Donnarumma scores well in Sorare because of Paris Saint-Germain and how they play. But if I had a young goalkeeper to take, I think I'd definitely stay away from Donnarumma and go more for the Porto goalkeeper or potentially Van der Voort, because he's been pretty terrible this year as far as his play, his football, ball to feet, even some of his saves, some of his mistakes. Watching him a bit more and not in being in competition with Keylor Navas, who's now gone to England. I think Donnarumma is still young, so you still have a bit of time for him to develop. And if you look at Manuel Neuer, for example, at Donnarumma's age, wasn't a finished product yet, but I think Donnarumma might need a bit of time and a bit of serious training to get to where he was supposed to get. Sure, he's tall and he's young, but he would be a goalkeeper that I probably avoid a little bit for the time being. One last thing about Paris Saint-Germain: Danilo Pereira here, who plays in central defense. Sergio Ramos is injured, so most likely Danilo Pereira will be the choice in central defense next to Marquinhos for the time being. We have Kimpembe slowly coming back in training with the rest of the team after that long injury. But I think you should probably bet a little bit on Danilo Pereira for the next couple of weeks. When Sanchez got injured, Bichabu, the young centre-back, came in to replace him and then came into the defense next to Danilo Pereira and Marquinhos. So Bichabu could also be potentially a player that gets some minutes, but I think the defense, especially against Marseille, against Bayern Munich, which are the big games coming up for Paris Saint-Germain, I think will be Danilo Pereira next to Marquinhos and potentially a third defender. That's it for Paris. But you can see Carlos Soler getting an assist, but he's still quite criticized in the capital. Vitinha got 45. I'm wondering what they're going to do against Bayern, but I think it looks like they're really playing for Messi right now, almost the way Argentina play for Messi, and that's what Galtier said as well. So it looks like that's where we're going for the next couple of weeks for Paris Saint-Germain. All right, I don't really want to talk about that next game, but I guess we have to. Marseille against Nice at the Stade Vélodrome this morning. Look at that result, 3-1 for Nice. Marseille wasn't defeated for, I think, 10 or 11 games. I think it was 10 wins out of the last 11 or 9 wins out of the last 10. And Nice came to the Vélodrome and just took that away. Great game for Nice, I got to say. Queenie, who I do some videos with, and who, of course, I'm talking about Queenie and Simply Alex. We have on Sorare TV right now a weekly episode coming out about the champion Europe and the top 5 leagues, where we discuss all the results. So Queenie, when we talked, I think it was a year and a half ago, was saying that in several videos that when he looks at player, he kind of want to look at the setup, who's the coach, who's the sporting director, where's the team's going to. If there's a setup that you want to look at right now, it's Nice. Nice is nice, pardon the pun. They've got Gisolfi, who used to be the sporting director at Lens up until three months ago, and really helped Lens molding into the title contender that they are right now, or at least the championship contender that they are right now. And now Gisolfi has gone to Nice to work for Ineos, a bit more money probably at Nice than there was at Lens. And since he got there, I'm not going to say he got rid of Favre, but Favre didn't have good results, the coach. So he was put aside, and now Didier Digard is in as an interim coach. And since Didier Digard took over at Nice, well, Nice played 5 games, won 4 of them, and 1 draw. And then this week they played Lens, Lille, and Marseille, which are 3 of the best teams in Ligue 1, and got 3 wins in 7 days: 1-0 against Lille, 1-0 against Lens, and now 3-1 in Marseille. So it's a pretty spectacular series. And I'm not saying Gisolfi did a lot to make it happen, but definitely, probably talking to Gigar and letting Gigar install his football style, which is basically almost kind of like what Tudor does at Marseille, what Hayes does at Lens, which is high intensity, high pressing, never give up, keep pushing. It works a treat, of course, for any team, and Nice has been very quick to adapt to it. The couple of champions in the Nice squad, I'll never stop singing the praise of Gaëtan Laborde. Gaëtan Laborde is one of the most unselfish striker you'll ever see. Always racks up as many assists as he racks up goals. Let's have a look at his scores. We're going to look at all-time scores for him, just so you to have a quick look at the all-time score. So if we look at since game week 94, so that's a while back, right? Look at all those results. 51 goal and 22 assists is what he got since, I guess, kind of like since Sorare started almost. So whether he was playing with Rennes or with Montpellier first, then with Rennes, then with Nice, he's always been, there's not a lot of hundreds, but look at how many 70 to 80 score there is. 24 results between 60 and 70, 23 results between 70 and 80. He's just an all-around amazing player, fights so hard for any ball, very consistent. And yeah, like I said, 51 goals and 22 assists. What else do you want? Not a red card inside 130 games started, 8 games entered from the bench, only 2 games not in squad in that whole period. Tells you how important it's been in any squad and how regular it's been in any squad that he's been in. So he's also on the roll right now. Look at that in the past 5 games. That good run of Nice that I was talking about, win against Montpellier, draw against Rennes, and then beating Lille, Lens, and Marseille. He scored in those last 3 goals. Had an assist against Montpellier just before the World Cup break. He also had scored 3 goals in 3 games against Lorient, Köln, and Brest. So definitely a player to me to look at. The limited card is only at 0.02. The rare card is slightly creeping back up. You know what? Like I don't have the font to get in right now. I only have a common card of him, of course, that we don't use anymore. But I think it's definitely a player to look at. Back to the Nice structure altogether. They recruited this gentleman over the winter transfer window, Youssouf Ndayi Chimier. I'm trying not to hurt his name too much. Who used to be at Başakşehir. And again, those are the kind of signings that if Gisolfi signed a player, I almost instantly want to believe in this player. Can play centre back, can play centre midfield. He was playing into a back 3 today against Marseille. And he's been impressive. He got a yellow card because it's not always easy to play against Marseille. But he did some pretty solid defending and was able to really help hold that Marseille team. Sofiane Diop got a goal, hence the 71 score, but an 11 all around. That's not too bad. And Jean-Claire Todibo, the former defender from Barcelona, who's been at Nice for a couple of years now, did a bit of selection as well. 24 all around. Jean-Claire Todibo is a bit of a hero this season for Nice. His cards, look at that, 0.478 is the only card that we have. But yeah, if you look at his scores this season, or maybe even more than that, look at this AA 20.3. He's been really, really strong for Nice this season. Developing neatly next to Dante, and always a solid AA, as you can see. 3 red cards though. He's pretty good at getting sent off, but a solid defender. That's about it for what Nice is. But yeah, like I said, I would back Nice up right now. I know not all of their cards are available. They just recruited Terem Moffi from Lorient. They got Sofiane Diop from Monaco, Laborde from Rennes, so that's why we can get those cards. But Gisolfi and Didier Giga are doing some pretty good work at Nice at the moment. Quick word on Marseille. Payet, I think it was probably the last time of the season that he started the game. He started, and clearly when he's on the pitch versus when he's not, the intensity is different. He got substituted at halftime. Vitinha, the forward from Braga, who has no card anyway, was playing his first minutes and didn't really confirm. Sanchez got in an assist. He's already have a pretty high L15, so I don't think you can use him too much. Malinovsky got his first goal for Marseille, and hopefully the first of many. And you can see that his L15 is pretty low, so it could be an option for anybody who's looking to have him maybe in the amateur league. Another player who didn't have a great game, and in his unhappiness, we could find some happiness as Sorare player. Is Jonathan Klaus, who's just coming back from an injury, missed a bit of a heap of game. Had a good game against Nantes midweek, but then here a 28, which keeps his L5, L15 low. He's the kind of player. I mean, wow, look at this, 11 assists. I think he was, just before the World Cup, the defender in all 5 leagues with the most assists in the past 18 months. So he's a player who always finds a way to put the ball into the box. Look at his price on Rare versus the last 3 days. I mean, everybody loves a good Jonathan Klaus. Now that they got Vitinha up front, who's going to be a better striker, a bit more of a target man, I think Jonathan Klaus is going to rack up a fair few assists between now and the end of the season. So it would be a player that I bet on. Paul Lopez was given an error leading to a goal. I mean, the 2 goals was him releasing the ball, but I don't know if it was necessarily his fault. It was more like some pretty good shot from this. Anyway, that's authentic, right? That's going to means his L5, L15 is going to drop, so it could be a good shout for your amateur league. Lopez is pretty good at getting some assists. It's some clean sheet, excuse me. It's a defense that usually works well, but they got taken by Nice right now, and so that means that they're probably going to be willing to bounce back early on. Nuno Tavares, 17.3, doesn't mean that he doesn't start. He makes mistakes, but Igor Tudor loves him because he fights a lot, so he's always going to have low scores until he scores a goal, basically. If you look at his scores, Tavares, look at that. It's never very pretty, but then here and there he scores a goal or he gets an assist and his score goes up. But yeah, it doesn't have the best AA in general because he loses a lot of ball because it's a very intense player. You only get good results when he gets a decisive. All right, let's get to the next game. There was no one that we talk about. No, not really. Okay. Brest against Lens. So Lens, who's not winning right now? Lens, they lost. I think this week there was a game that they lost. I can't remember now who they were playing against midweek, and now they drew against Brest. Brest, who's all the way at the bottom of the table. They struggled, Lens, against Brest. Despite having most of the possession, as you can see, 66%, they just couldn't really find a break. Shots on target 7, but we had a goalkeeper that was on top form, and they had to wait until the very last minutes to be able to equalize by Gradit at the 83rd minute. Le Doiron had scored for Brest before. Bizot, is the goal? No, the goal is on the penalty. The goal is a mistake by Bizot. Bizot would have had a great result if it wasn't for that error led to goal because he was making save after save after save. Brest, every time they're going to play against a team that's less good, I trust a guy like Erel to get results. I wouldn't mind, putting a guy like Belkebla in my starting lineup because he's the captain. Le Doiron has been scoring a few, but they're very inconsistent. They just got Albert Ellis from Bordeaux, whose price can't be cheap, but must be cheaper than what it was because when he was in Division 2, he probably would get better results. Or that said, it hasn't changed too much. Let's see how he performed. But as you can see, very low L15 and L5 because he hasn't played many games. It'd be interesting to see what he does when he comes to actually play for Brest. If he can bring anything on the Lens squad. Of course, Lens is a team that is not covered. Loïs Openda is here because he's from Belgium, but it just got Julien Le Cardinal as in right back, and Lens has been struggling with their right back position since the beginning of the season. I bought a card from him just this morning because I thought it was too cheap for how good Le Cardinal was when he was in second division in Paris FC. And again, Lens is a team that I trust when it comes to recruiting. So that's his scores when he was in second division, when he was playing with Paris FC. I mean, not fantastic, but correct at least. And it was his first game starting with Lens against Brest overnight. And in 77 minutes, he racked up a 63 .10 score. So I got a rare. No, it was only 0.05. So it was my last little monies that I had on my wallet, and I decided to get him. I'm just saying, I'm not saying buying, but I'd say keep an eye on him. He's a player that could be worth something soon. That, if Lens is at the top of the table, if Le Cardinal gets to start on right back, that famous position that was left very alone by Jonathan Klaus when he signed in Marseille, and that Cabo was supposed to take over but then got injured, and Frankowski isn't really convincing and consistent enough on the right. If Le Cardinal is the one who gets the start, it could be a player to keep an eye on. Of course, if Lens was covered, I would jump on Gradit and Danso. I think Danso was probably the best AA in Ligue 1 this season, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, look at those results: 61 L5, 62 L15. What's his AA? Oh, 19. Okay, let's look at the last 6 months, maybe 22.8. Solid AA. Look at those scores in the past 6 months. I mean, the guy is a beast. Lens, of course, is a strong defensive unit. Kevin Danso, as soon as there's a card, I'll probably keep a solid eye on it. Kenny Lala, I was going to say Kenny Lala, if you can get a card. I thought there was a Lala card because he used to be at Strasbourg, but there are no cards, so let's just pass on Kenny Lala. But the day there is a card, Kenny Lala is a solid right back who can get some good scores. Anyway, that's it for our little Brest-Lens game. Let's go to the next one. Clermont against Monaco, and Monaco who won 2-0. There's a couple of interesting cases at Monaco that we have to look at. Alexander Nubel, after a mistake midweek that cost Monaco 3 points, or 2 points, I should say, because they drew. He came back, got a clean sheet, and got 70.4. Guillermo Maripan is not too expensive for a Ligue 1 defender, 0.1. But since Badiashile left for Chelsea, Maripan is the starter at Monaco, and Monaco looks like they're keen on having a nice end of season. So that's his latest scores, as you can see, starting every single game since just before the World Cup and after the World Cup, played all 90 minutes of every single game. And Monaco, he's getting some good results, even when they concede, as you can see against Marseille or against Ajaccio. He scores nice, and of course this morning a clean sheet plus a goal means an 88.56 for Guillermo Maripan. Just keep an eye on him. I think a player that might be worth it. I wouldn't be surprised though if at the off season Monaco recruits somebody else in defense, whether it's to replace Maripan or Disasi, because Disasi might be going. But yeah, he's been doing well. Ben Yedder did not play a minute, maybe because Monaco is going to. That was, of course, their third game in a week, and then there's a French Cup coming and more football to finish the season. Mbolo started and made the most of it, scored a goal. Bril Mbolo, the Swiss international. Mbolo, not cheap because he's in Monaco. He's not very old and he scores well. But yeah, maybe it's a bit too expensive for his actual scores. He's a consistent player. I guess he's a bit more than consistent. I don't know why I thought his score are going to be lower than this. Over the past year, 24 goals and 5 assists. He's a solid player, I should say. Why did I miss that he scored that many goals recently? Anyway, whether he starts or comes in, obviously decisive for Monaco, just to make me lie a little bit. But yeah, he's worth his penny, but he's probably going to last because he's a very athletic, solid player. Clermont is a team that I usually like because they do play football. They do always try to play football. We can see Neto, who's probably their best, Neto Borges, they're probably their best Sorare scorer. Clermont, who still had a good result despite losing 2-0. Look at his price. He's only at 0.06. Rare is like Neto scores well. Look at this. Because Clermont Foot is a team that actually plays good football, even when he get clean sheets like Lille and Nantes in the past couple of games, he gets good results. But even when they concede, I mean, look at this all-around score: 17, 23, 34. There's a -10 there, probably because of a card that he took. 16, 33. He's definitely a player that I would consider in my choices, and he's dirt cheap. I might have a look at this this Neto Borges. Clermont, who I'm not going to say that nothing is going to happen to them, but because they play football, they're pretty safe as far as like the relegation battle. They're nicely settled into the middle of the table, and look, they're already 12 points away from the relegation zone. So I think they're pretty safe, and yeah, it could be a good player to look at, Neto Borges. Anyway, besides him, Mania scores well. He's not a young player. He's not an old player, sorry. And he's always scoring well in the middle of the park. If you want to again have a look at a player who's not too expensive in the midfield just because he's not known, but yeah, 0.07, which is double what he's been worth in recent weeks. But a great scorer. And again, I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to stop saying it. They play football, Clermont. So there's a lot of passing. It's stuck between 70 and 50. Could be good for you cap to 20. And maybe that's why you want to use him. Anyway, that's Clermont. That's Clermont, Monaco. Monaco's on the run. Monaco's coming back to try and play for the podium in Ligue 1. And I wouldn't be surprised if between now and the end of the year, we just see a lot of good results for Monaco, because every second part of the season for the past 4 years, Monaco has had some crazy runs. So keep an eye on les Monégasques. Rennes against Lille. Oh, I forgot about this game. Yeah, of course. Rennes against Lille. 3-1 win for Lille. Zegrova. Finally, Edon Zegrova promised to be one of the prospects of Ligue 1 when he joined Lille, and sort of struggled to do anything. I don't think there's any. Is there any goals? Now look at this. I don't think there's any goal in Ligue 1. The last time the only goals that we had would be when he plays international football. There's a goal and an assist in April 2022 and in March 2022. So last year after he joined I remember he joined last winter mercato, and then the first game that he started, got a red card after 8 minutes. But then when he got it again, he scored a goal. So he tried to make sure that the team, the fans would love him. But then since that, so his last goal for Lille was the 8th or 9th of April 2022. And now a goal and 2 assists this weekend against Rennes. So, a young player, under 23 until, I guess for another 4 months only. As you can see, I got a few cards of him. You can't tell, but I got a rare and 2. I got 1 rare or 2 rare? Yeah, I have a rare and 2. Can't really see, can we? There's a rare here. I'll just show it because he was on it. There's a rare and 2 limited. I traded for me. I can't remember how much I had him for, but yeah, the floor price has gone up a bit, more than what the latest trading average has been. Anyway, Lille against Rennes. A surprise that Lille was able to I guess finally get rewarded. They've been so wasteful up front. Lille plays one of the best football in Ligue 1, but they just don't score. David isn't really making it. Mohamed Mayo isn't really making it. And even though David is such an amazing player to watch, he just doesn't really. I think that style of formation, as we can see here, with Angel Gomez as a 10 and David as a 9, doesn't really suit him. What suits him is to have a guy like Mohamed Bayo potentially in front of him who plays striker, and then David can just play off him and just under him, because if they play that way, I think that's how they get the best of Jonathan David, not when he's a lone striker. That said, for this weekend, they conceded after like seconds. I think Euro tried to pass the ball to Chevalier, bad pass. Guerri stole it and scored after, like literally 17 or 20 seconds. But then after that, Lille took over. We saw less and less of Rennes. We almost didn't see Rennes at all in the second half, which is very surprising for the team coached by Bruno Genesio. But Lille took advantage of it and pushed and equalized, and then scored 2 late goals. Remy Cabella scored, I think it was the 85th minute, and Andre Gomez at the 94th, 2 assists from Zegrova, the Kosovo international, and 2 good scores. Cabella, when he plays with Lille, I'm not going to say he's as good as he was when he was in Russia, but you can see that he can definitely create something out of nothing every time he touches the ball. Of course, his L40 was impressive with the result that he was having at Krasnodar, but his L5 isn't bad for Lille, and he did rack some decisive. Look at this. in just before the World Cup. And since we're back in domestic football as well, he's a player who can get some good results. Of course, he's not a cheap midfielder, and he's already 32, but he's always a good scorer for les Dogs of Lille. On Rennes, the only advantage of seeing that result is player like Bourigeaud or like Flaviente. Their L15 is going to go down, and so you could probably take advantage of it because they are going to play eventually some less good team, and that's when you want to have your Rennes stack ready to go. Lorient and Angers. Surprising that Lorient wasn't able to get through Angers, but look at these 13 shots, only 2 on target, unfortunately. That said, look at those scores on the Lorient side. I mean, Vito Manone, shout out to Queenie. I think he has a super rare card of the sub keeper from Lorient while Mbogo is injured, and he's got an 82 this weekend. On the other side, Angers is a terrible team at the bottom of the league, but a 0-0 against Lorient is a pretty good result. Bernardoni having a clean sheet is a very, very rare sight these days, so I wouldn't jump on it just yet, but it's good for them that they are slowly trying to get some good results. I would really not touch anybody from Angers. On the Lorient side, maybe the one that deserves to get a look at is Fèvre. Fèvre was, of course, at Brest last year, and then Lyon bought him, just couldn't quite make it at Lyon. But if he plays with Lorient anything like he was playing when he was back in Brest, look at those results. Oopla, let's not ruin it. Look at those scores when he was at Brest. He was scoring, he was assisting, he was doing it all, and so I think he's a player worth keeping an eye on. Again, the move to Lyon was maybe a bit too big of a move, but when he was in Brest, he was a great player. So now that he is back in a, I guess, smaller team like Lorient, it might be worth having a look at him until the end of the season. I can't remember. I think it's a loan with an option to buy. But yeah, I'd definitely have a look at Fèvre. Lefebvre racking the usual scores. Talbi. Meite is playing in defense now for Lorient. I think what's his name? Laporte was either injured or suspended, but Meite did okay next to Talbi, and Le Goff was a bit older, a bit cheaper. Could be an option as well. What's Jordan Kalulu like? It doesn't have the best scores in the L5 though. Yeah, 0.06. Yeah, it could be something. Could be something to look at. Gedeon Kalulu, brother of the Milan, the AC Milan defender. Kalulu is playing at Lorient himself. Anyway, Lorient Angers 0-0, and yeah, Lorient is the team that you want to look at. Bemba Dieng starting, but not doing much this weekend. Keep an eye on Lorient. 3 against Lyon. Now, there are things to say about those two teams. 3, the one thing to say is none of the players are covered. That's beginning and the end of it. Unfortunately, because Lucien Agoumé is on loan from Inter Milan, but couldn't get a card before he got given on loan. He's a player to keep an eye on, Lucien Agoumé. But let's look at Lyon, because I think there's a lot of important things that are happening at Lyon. Laurent Blanc is finally finding some sort of a groove with his team. There's Houssem Aouar getting an assist. Don't get excited. I don't think Aouar is all that good, but great for him that he got an assist. No, at Lyon, what I want to look at is the youth is back. The youth of Lyon is back. I mean, we know that every time there's a young Lyon player coming out, the prices explode on Sorare, and Cherki is no stranger to this fact. Let's see how much a Cherki costs these days. Look at this, 1 ETH almost. He's been tragic all season, I have to say. But right now, he's coming back onto a form. Look at this result in the past 4 games. 66, 48, 71, 67. A goal against Troyes is more into the role that he likes to play at right now. With Toko can be gone to Rennes, a bit more freedom. And then Bradley Barcola is given a run for his money. I like this player. Wow, 0.2. Wow, I thought that a 20-year-old striker for Lyon would be a crazy price. Anyway, so sorry, I'm getting lost. I really, really rate Bradley Barcola. He's such a selfless player. He wants to score. He doesn't mind offering the assist. Oh, I guess, yeah. I guess the latest score doesn't really want to make you spend more than what it is because he wasn't really giving his shot. Might be giving his shot now with Laurent Blanc, an assist and a goal by Bradley Barcola in the last week, and 3 games where he started and when you play alongside Lacazette, and now that Toko Ekambi is gone. That Dembele almost left. Dembele, where's Dembele? Let's look at it. Moussa Dembele. Did he come in? He didn't come in. Was he on the bench at all? He was on the bench, but he didn't play. Dembele is definitely not, not first choice right now for Laurent Blanc. And out of squad, there's not really anybody who plays up front except younger players. Barcola, yeah, definitely better than I would look at. I didn't realize that he was that cheap. I'm going to keep this open and I'm going to get at least a limited card of him, I think, for my under 23. Sorry, Barcola's one, Cherki's the other. Le Penant also got an assist and a good result. Same thing, young player, 20 years old from Lyon. And so we're seeing that use of Lyon taking over again. It's the eternal song with Lyon. Whenever they have a young player, you have to look at it because they're great. Maxence Cacré getting back to his level as well. I think a player to me that's worth noting is Corentin Tolisso. He was in the French national team that won the World Cup in 2018. He was at Bayern at the time. Then he got a couple of injuries. He struggled to get back to his rhythm. But right now, he's actually having a couple of performances that are worth noting. He's getting some good results. I mean, look at this AA, 35, 21, 24, 25 in the past 4 games. He's no stranger to the form that Lyon is in right now, and 0.13 for his rare car. It's not too bad. He's going to be the anchor, I think, in that midfield with the young player around him, and he's definitely playing until the end of the season. The caveat with Lyon, it's always that they're a bit of an emotional roller coaster. They're going to have a great game, a bad game, a great game, a bad game, but it kind of looks like we are on a roll right now for Lyon. I don't want to say that too loud because I know how quick Lyon is able to fall down. But if you look at the past 4 results, then we're going to look at them through the eyes of Lacazette. It's a 2-1 loss, but then they win in Ajaccio, a draw against Brest, and a win in Troyes. They are about to get tested, though, Lyon, if you're wondering. They're about to play Lens, Auxerre, Angers, Lorient, Lille. They're also playing Lille this week, midweek in the French Cup. So it'll be interesting to see what they do against Lille and Lens. And actually, after that, Auxerre Angers is probably 2 games where you want to have your Lyon players handy. I'm definitely going to put my hand on the Bradley Barcola. So that's Lyon, who did win 3-1 over the weekend in Troyes, and Laurent Blanc was saying that it's the hard work paying the Lyon coach. So hopefully for him, it does keep paying. Auxerre Reims, I mean, the news, I guess, is that Falorin Balogun didn't score for Reims. It's something that we're used to. He scored so well in the past couple of weeks. And against Auxerre, it might be a surprise that Reims didn't score. I need Raju, the goalkeeper on loan from Inter Milan, scoring an 82 with his first clean sheet at Auxerre. It's his third game with the team from the east of France. It is his 3rd game with Auxerre, and the first clean sheet. He conceded 2 against Montpellier, conceded 3 against Monaco, and finally a clean sheet against Reims. Look, Auxerre has a few young players. Radu is not young, but he's not too old either. Isaac Touré, who's on loan from Marseille, this very first game, he got a red card. I don't know if you've ever seen Isaac Touré playing, but he is a mountain. I think he's a meter 96 or a meter 97. He's a beast. He plays for the under 19 French national team, and his scores aren't great, basically because he's probably victim of his size. Like that red card that he got, I don't think it was a real red card, but he's so tall and he's so massive that when he gets into a challenge, it's hard for him to stop himself. But he's definitely a player that I want to keep an eye on because he'll be useful for Marseille, I think, down the line. The defense got a good score for Auxerre, which happened very rarely. But on the other side, if we look at Reims, a player that I like right now is Thomas Fouquet because he was injured for a while. He's finally back into the starting lineup at Reims. You can see his price graph going up a little bit since he came back, and he's a player that's just consistent, that just consistently gets okay scores. And same thing, it's all about the AA 32, 27, 40 this morning against Reims. And he's at the door of being a Belgium international. So yeah, a player to look at, Thomas Fouquet. I like him at Reims. Yevhen Diouf, who is a player who is still under 23 with a 76 score, is always good to see. I'm sure for all our friends that are under 23 holders. Who's that? Thibaut de Smet. When did I get this boy? Oh, sorry, early this season. I remember him now. Yeah, interesting. He's getting some minutes at left back. I played a few games before the break as well. He's going all right. Yeah, I'll just keep an eye out on him from afar. I usually have somebody else playing in his position, but he's played a few games recently, so maybe worth keeping tabs on Thibaut de Smet. And I will do just that. Next game, Ajaccio against Nantes. Nantes scoring well. Castelletto, Joao Victor. Oh, is there already a card from Joao Victor? Even though he lost against Marseille, he impressed me. Benfica player. Got you. Struggle, like even... Oh, that's not very nice. So -4 in all around. His determination, his maturity, he's a bit vicious as a defender. I was really impressed against Marseille and to show what he did. And then the last time he scored, who was he playing for? With Corinthians. Okay, got you. He's Corinthians player who then signed with Benfica. 24 years old. Yeah, I think he's got a lot of good things on him. It's going to be good for him to play next to Castelletto or Girotto, because it's going to really train him. Girotto, great scoring by Girotto. I think it was Sam Tig, I think, on the Looking Up with Laird podcast, to say keep an eye on Girotto. I mean, look at those crazy scores. This is 0.1. Is rare. The guy is like the epitome of consistency, and he can score more than a goal. And look, when he scores a goal, it's a straight 100. When he doesn't score a goal, it's 50 all around, 46 all around. What's the all around average? We got 19.6 in the past year, but 30.3 in the past 3 months. That's crazy. Girotto is a great player. Definitely rate him. I think I had his card back in the day, and then I sold him because he could sell well. Can't believe that just at 0.01. I mean, he's a 30-year-old player, and I guess he has that very strong L15 that makes him harm to play in the capped mode. But if you want to play some defender in your Champion Europe, he is a player to look at, that can always score okay. Evan Guessin scored his first goal with Nantes. I don't know if it's a player that you really want to invest in yet, because he's a little bit unreliable, and he alternates like strong intensity and then a little bit of laziness. But look, that was a good result for him, so we'll give him that, and then we'll see where else he travels. On the Ajaccio side, a complicated game as usual, but yeah, I do rate Chabrol, who used to play for Marseille when he was a bit younger. I saw that they got Mohamed Youssouf, who's an experienced player, to say the least, scoring well and trying to stabilize that defense. Ajaccio is just struggling. The 3 A's, Angers, Ajaccio, and Auxerre, are at the bottom of the table. So I wouldn't spend too much time on them, but yeah, it's still good to see them scoring. On the other side, on Nantes side, Mutusami is very irregular, very inconsistent. So I don't know that he's a good player to get on. Well, look at this. That's the reason why he's costing only 0.02, I guess. 70 and 86 in the past 3 games. Maybe he's reached maturity and he's going to start and score regularly, but he hasn't in the past, so I won't recommend Mutusami. Andre Girotto is the great winner of that Nantes team. That's not to say that Nantes is going to have an easy run. I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me go see where I can find that. In the next games, they're playing Lorient, they're playing Juventus in the Europa League, then they're playing Lens, Juventus again, then Rennes. So it's going to be a struggle the next few games for the Nantes coached by Comboiré. the last game of the weekend to have a look at Strasbourg against Montpellier. Hallelujah, Strasbourg finally scoring well. Oh, poor Strasbourg. Last year I got my Strasbourg stack because they were smashing everything, and then ever since they've been pretty shocking. But Sales getting a clean sheet. A good way to see how good Strasbourg has been is to look at Matt Sales and his scores. Look at last year. If we look at last year, he came back from injury, smashed it, and then this season it's just bad after bad after bad. How many clean sheets do we have? We have a clean sheet against Montpellier, and the last clean sheet for Strasbourg was against Clermont in that game week 3 or 4. And that's it. Wow. That's it. So yeah, good for them. They finally got a clean sheet again. Good for the defense as well. Jiku scores well, regardless of him getting a clean sheet or not. But of course, with a clean sheet, he'd only score better. I was 55 there. Dimitri Liénard could be a good shot if he was playing, or he didn't even. Sorry, he's here. But 32 is a bit low for him. Morgan Sanson just arrived at Strasbourg from Aston Villa. Of course, it'd be interesting to see what he does. Aston Villa or West Ham? I can't remember all of a sudden. The first 2 games he didn't score that well, but he got an assist. Yeah, only 17 all around. Okay, I wouldn't waste my time on Morgan Sanson yet. Good for Strasbourg to finally get a result. Montpellier is struggle town. Benjamin Lecomte, of course, I talked about him last week because he scored so well, and then they face Paris, and now they face Strasbourg, and they're not able to get anything. Montpellier is going to struggle until the end of the season. They might get results because they have a bit of talent like Kazri and Mavididi and Nordin up front, but it's not a team that I would spend a penny on. All right, that's it. That's what we have in Ligue 1. So as I said, maybe the players that we keep tabs on is Bradley Barcola, who is going to get starts with Lyon for sure, and Lyon is finally playing a little bit better. And André Girotto at Nantes, who, despite a very complicated calendar coming up, is always a consistent scorer. Thanks for sticking with me while I was rambling about Ligue 1, and I'll have another episode soon. I don't really have much to do in that midweek. I don't have a lot of teams that I can actually look at, but I'll have another episode during the week to talk about the build-up of the next weekend, because there's quite a bit happening. There's the French Cup midweek, so we'll get a bit more a bit more information on the team, and then we can build something without all the potentially injured player. Thanks for watching. Don't hesitate to comment, like, subscribe, do it all, and ask any questions if you have them. Ciao, ciao, guys. Take care.